Hey guys, so our first experiment is we're going to make strawberry ice cream. Now there's kind of a dust in here too, but I think that'll add to the syrup. So I'm just taking a cup of strawberries, half cup water, I'm going to stir that around, get it all absorbing and rehydrating. That'll be it for the strawberries for them. I'm going to give you a simple ice cream recipe. Took our own eggs that we get from our chickens, and I got 5 egg yolks. If I move this up here for you. 5 egg yolks, and we're going to do something with that a little bit later. All I use is a standard, I know the lighting sucks in here, sorry. Premier, Donvier, I don't know, we've had this thing forever. It's a manual crank ice cream maker, so it's nothing fancy. I have to sit here and spin this little paddle. It uses a little frozen core, which I'll bring out later, that's in the freezer. I also have a pint, 2 cups of whole cream, heavy cream, basically like whipping cream, in the freezer getting chilled, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now, we're going to take 1 cup of milk. Doesn't really matter what kind of milk. I got 2% because that's what was on sale. And I'm going to add into that 3/4 cup of sugar. And let's get that started. Basically, we're going to bring this to what they call scald, which is just right to when it comes to boil. This is a 1/4 cup, so there's 3/4 cups of sugar. And you will want to make sure that you keep stirring this. Alright, we're just about there. Sugar seems to be melted. You won't be able to feel it on the bottom. Putting off a lot of steam. You really don't have to boil this. You really just want to make sure that it's up near 200 degrees. What we're going to do is transfer this over, and I'm going to get the camera set up, and this is just about ready. Alright, so we have the 5 egg yolks. I have the mixture I just pulled off the stove. I've left the stove on because we're going to transfer this back, but what we're going to do is we're going to temper the eggs. If you dump the eggs directly into the hot milk, you'd end up with scrambled eggs floating all over. I just have this in a large pot. It's just to help secure the bowl. You can ladle this if you want, but you just want to drizzle a little bit. Incorporate it in. I know the lighting's not very good. I'm sorry about that. Drizzle a little bit. What you're doing is you're bringing the temperature of the eggs up. A little bit at a time. Once you get that part done, now we're going to transfer that hot egg mixture back into the pot and back to the stove. Now here's where the magic happens. Now I turn it down a little bit. It's on 3. It's going to be a little foamy, but that'll settle down. What you're going to want to do is take your spatula and just keep moving it around. It's going to be very similar to making a custard. That's basically what ice cream is a frozen custard. You've got egg yolks, cream, and sugar. Anytime you're doing any sort of pastry, baking, it's going to be something that has to do with eggs, sugar, and cream. The egg and sugar is what's going to make the ice cream the texture that you want. And this recipe comes out pretty good. But I won't bore you with this whole process. Basically, you're going to sit here and just kind of wave the spatula back and forth, making sure that the egg mixture is not going to start cooking on the bottom. If you walk away from this, the eggs in the mixture will basically make a light film, and then you'll end up with chunks. If that happens, it's not the end of the world, but I would run it through a fine strainer. We're just going to keep this up until it coats the back of the spoon. Now, we're not using a spoon, but you'll be able to tell it'll get a little bit thicker, and I'll bring you back when we're there. Alright, now we're starting to get there. It's a little bit less liquidy, a little bit less viscous. You'll see it's thickening a little bit. It holds on the spoon, or the spatula in this case. All we did by keeping it moving and having the mixture and the eggs tempered are the eggs are cooking, just like you would with scrambled eggs. But in the way we've done this, the eggs are actually thickening the sauce. And it's very typical with a lot of custards, lemon curd, stuff like that, that you'll use egg yolks. You get a very rich texture that way instead of using a different type of thickener. So let's transfer this back over. Alright, now what I like to do is I actually like to put it back into the bowl. Depending on the pots you're using, this pot will hold residual heat and make it harder for this, essentially your custard mix to cool down. That's one reason I've got 2 cups or 1 pint of heavy whipping cream that I put in the freezer when we started this to get it as cold as possible. And the reason behind that is we want to cool this down. We want to stop the eggs from cooking, essentially. We don't need it any thicker than it was. So, at this point, if you didn't have an ice cream maker, this is your ice cream mixture. Sky's the limit on here. You can add vanilla beans. I've done avocado puree. You can do savory ice creams. A really good one I did that turned out kind of funny, but is use the abuelita, the Mexican hot chocolate, the little discs. Same thing, only I melted one of these discs with the chocolate, Mexican chocolate, and cinnamon and cocoa and stuff. Melted that in with the milk instead of that cup of sugar at the beginning. So basically, like I said, sky's the limit. I'm not going to add the strawberries in quite yet because right now this mixture is still a little bit hot. I'm going to grab the ice core. Make sure your hands are dry, because this thing is like sticking your tongue to a fence post in the middle of a Missouri blizzard. Not fun to get your hand stuck there. So this is solid ice. Ice core goes in there. I'm going to take our ice cream mixture. Stick it in there. I'm going to stick the paddle in. The lid goes on there. This locks on. This has a little key. And we're just going to give it some turns. You can leave this on the counter. You can sit it on the side chair and do this while you're watching TV. About every 15-20 minutes, you want to come over and give it a little spin. At the very beginning, what I do is I actually leave the lid off and allow any extra heat not to get trapped in that lid. And I'll come back in about 20 minutes and keep stirring it. But for this, pretty much the process is done. Once this starts to thicken, then I'm going to add the strawberries. I don't really want to beat the strawberries up too bad. So we're going to throw this in the freezer, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I brought you into B Studio because the lighting is so horrible out there in the kitchen. I wanted to show you what you end up with here. And it won't really turn right without the lid on. But you can see you got nice thick ice cream. You got the chunks of the strawberries in there. And very simple, very cheap, you know, very homemade solution to ice cream. Overall, I think it took about an hour to get to this point. It may take a little bit longer depending on how hot the solution is. That's why you don't have to have this in the freezer. You could sit there on the counter, like I said, where the TV is or something, and churn it every once in a while. You don't want to let it set too long, because it will build up and get really hard to turn, and you'll end up with chunks instead of smooth ice cream. So you do want to keep turning it. It's going to be a little bit softer than your typical ice cream, but I can put this in the freezer, leave it overnight, give it a little bit of spins the next day, as long as I left it at this consistency. Now if I just put it in there from get-go and left it overnight, you'd end up with a block of ice cream. Because this has slowly been churned, it's really not a problem. Once you get it to this consistency, put it in the freezer and you guys can enjoy it. It will be slightly softer than regular ice cream, but so much better for you. It's milk, sugar, cream, egg yolks, and whatever you want to add. There's no preservatives, there's no weird stuff in it, and you know what your family's eating. Thanks for watching.